Does he know Urban? Does he know Quinn?
Quinn Temples.
Do you think he does?
Yes. He's his GA.
I know, but that's still, he's a big shot.
Okay, well,
Did you read
Campbell's
Urban?
Raise your hand.
I read it, but
Who makes you guys say that? Is that Jerry? They have to introduce themselves like that?
It means you're allowed to answer.
Is that what it is?
About Philly routes, I know that last year he was a guy that had to prove himself. How much has he proved himself? How much are you guys in terms of being emotional with the offense?
Yeah, he's probably the closest thing we have to a rah-rah guy, or like you said, an emotional leader. He's very vocal. He's very energetic. He supplies a lot of energy. I think Kenny was probably is the same way. But for guys that are on the field, he has certainly developed into that. And he was that way last year. I think he just, I don't think he took his classwork real seriously. I don't think he took his approach to the game very seriously. And so I think everything about him was kind of 3/4 in, 75% in everything he did. And I think he's made a commitment to really becoming a professional, if you will, at his craft and really in his life. His off the field stuff, his academics have improved. He's doing a great job in every aspect of his life.
How has he changed as a wide receiver?
I don't know that he's changed much. I think he was pretty dang good last year too. I think he's improved probably a little bit of the nuances in terms of his route running. But beyond that, I mean, he's always been a guy that can play every position we need him to, and outside, inside, doesn't matter. And so I think he has improved, like I said, just kind of the finer points of his route running.
Yeah, Tim May comes to Sept. As you look back on
Now everybody's going to laugh.
yeah, I wasn't looking for a
Light in the room.
Just trying to make sure you knew who I was. As you look back on Saturday, the first half at the start of the third quarter were almost lights out for you guys, and then the fourth quarter some things happened, etc. How do you kind of like judge that game? How do you assess the way y'all did offensively from the standpoint of the fourth quarter? Did it kind of put a little bit of a bad light on it for you?
No, I would we have liked to convert maybe a few more third downs and keep drives alive, absolutely. But I think what gets lost in the offense and defense and special teams, they're not mutually exclusive. We all work together, and when you have a 17-point lead in the fourth quarter, the way that you approach how you're going to call the game changes significantly. And I think any football coach up here, I would hope so, would tell you the same. Now, do the fans want to see everything they saw in the first quarter? Do they want to see that in the fourth quarter? Absolutely, good for them. But it's not going to happen. It's just not. We have a responsibility to win the game. We don't have a responsibility to put up X number of points or X number of yards. We have a responsibility to win the game. And at that point in the game and the way that the situation had dictated itself, again, up 17 points in the fourth quarter, there was certainly very justifiable reasons for approaching the game the way that we did there in the final quarter.
The other thing, we were asking Herbert about this. Jordan Hall was your leading ball carrier going into the game. He had a very limited role, and it seemed like that was planned, obviously. Or I don't know. Just how do you balance all of that as you go from game to game?
Yeah, it wasn't planned. I think the plan was to increase Carlos's role. There's no doubt about that. I don't think had we gone into the game and said, hey, Jordan Hall's only going to get one carry, that's not what we intended. So we did not plan for that, and by that happening, that's our fault, my fault, for that happening as you go through the course of a game, you know, and he's such a good, you know, he's not going to stand there and say, put me in, coach, you know, all that stuff. So you kind of fall back into some habits, at least as a play caller, as a position coach, Coach Grady, Coach Meyer, and then you look up at the end of the day and he's got one carry, and it's, you know what, we got to do a better job next week of making sure that we chart how many plays he's in and how many times he's touching the football, because he's good enough and deserves that. And we failed him a little bit there, but it certainly wasn't by design.
When did you guys discover y'all were going to be a good deep throwing team this year? I mean, and just obviously you pull the trigger on that, or you call those shots fairly often now. Just where did that come about, and where's that confidence coming from?
What's that necessity is the mother of invention. You know, we had to be. You guys saw how people started playing us the latter half of last year, and you know, in order for us to be able to be who we want to be, running the football, we had to make that a viable threat, and so we worked our tails off all spring, all off season, all two-a-days to make sure that we were effective, if not proficient, at throwing the ball down the field, and when people wanted to load the line of scrimmage to stop the run. And so I don't know if there was a defining moment on when we found out we were good at it. We just, you know, continued to practice it and still got a long way. I mean, we missed a couple that, you know, the numbers would have probably been off the charts, you know, and coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know, the game is about what you did, not what you could or should have done, but we're getting better. We're getting better.
Austin Ward, ESPN.com. It seemed like there were a couple of throws. You say you missed a few opportunities, but thinking of Braxton's throw to Devin, the touchdown, it seemed like that wasn't a throw that maybe he could have made a year ago. Is that a fair assessment?
I think it's a throw he wouldn't have made. He could have made it, absolutely could have. He wouldn't have made it because he didn't trust himself. And he didn't trust what he saw. He didn't trust when he saw it. You know, he might have seen it a split second too late. He might have not trusted, again, the fact that what he was seeing was reality. And he prepared his tail off, excuse me, he prepared his tail off all week long to really hone in on Wisconsin's defense and figure out what they were doing. And in fact, we had designed that play. I don't want to get too detailed, but actually that play versus that coverage was designed to go to Philly in the slot. They were spinning the weak side safety down and still playing quarters to the field. And we had Philly Brown on the skinny post, but in essence that had left Devin one-on-one, and Braxton said as he made the play fake, and he saw the safety spin down, and just kind of out of the corner of his eye saw Devin make a move on the corner and knew he was going to have Devin in that separation, and then drop back and obviously put the ball exactly where he needed to put it. And so again, the kid physically is not much different than he was last year, but mentally and consistency in his mechanics and footwork and all that are 10 times better than they were.
How did Saturday grade out then? Pretty pleased?
Not great, to be honest with you. Still, you know, he still made some mental mistakes that can be corrected in terms of some reads. And we've got to do a better job of when he does decide to scramble, of going vertically and not losing yards. You know, it's much easier to call 2nd and 8 than it is to call 2nd and 14 or 2nd and 13 because you're trying to make 50 yards. You know, go get vertical, get us 2 or 5. Hey, they covered us. They're going to cover you every now and again. You know, they're going to cover us every now and again. But go. Be smart and don't take negative plays. So graded out well, not great, but certainly better than probably what I had expected, and which is a positive.
Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch. As much as you like Kenny Guyton, does it make your job more difficult because, one, he's a fifth-year senior and he knows that this is possibly the end of his career, or that is the end of his career, and secondly, because he's had a little success and tasted what it's like to be Big Ten Player of the Year, or Big Ten Player of the Week twice, and do you have to buck him up a little bit more? Is it more of a problem? Not a problem, but is it difficult for you as a coach to kind of keep him involved?
No, not with that kid. Maybe other kids, yeah, maybe, but he's a real dude. I mean, I'm telling you, that the kid bleeds scarlet and gray, and I mean, he's going to do whatever it takes for this football team, and I honestly believe it's not. He's not just compliant. He's not just saying the right things because he knows those are the right things to say. I honestly feel in my heart, having gotten to know that kid over almost 2 years, that he believes that in his heart, and knows that in his heart, and fully trusts us as a staff to say, this is what's best for the team, and let's move forward. And you got it, Coach. I'm in. I trust you, and I agree with you.
And it's not harder to move back into the shadows after you've kind of been out in the bright lights?
For me, it would be. For you, it would be. For him, it's not. I mean, he's that kind of kid. I'm telling you, all of you guys, anybody out there in America looking to hire an unbelievable human being needs to hire Kenny Guyton, because he is, I mean, the most amazing human being I've ever been around.
He might be quarterbacks coach next year now.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah. I better watch my back.
Doug,
Tom, did you think that...
Say your name and where you're from.
Doug Maurice, Cleveland.com.
Thank you.
Did Braxton's injury and time away set him back at all in his development this year? And while he was out, were you worried at all that it might set him back?
I was certainly worried. I don't know that it did. Maybe a little bit mentally, just seeing the game over and over again and seeing coverages live and all those things. But from a physical standpoint, it didn't, and from a preparation standpoint, it didn't. But there's only so much you can do in drills, and only so much you can do in the film room where the live bullets are necessary to gain that experience. And so maybe a little bit, maybe that was part of the reason why he did have a few misreads that I felt like shouldn't have been, were too easy to miss, I guess is a better way to put it. But so I don't think he's been set back as much as I was worried that he would be.
And you talked about, that everything works together. You get a 17-point lead in the second half. You guys are out to win the game. And the coaches, that's what a team is out there to do. Are there ever times, have you ever been around teams where it's like, you know what, we're going out there today to win by 30, and if we're up by 17, we're going to try to win by 34 because we're not just playing this team, we're coming out to, I don't know, show the world something. Does that ever happen, or is that something guys like us talk about?
It's guys like you talk about, probably. But you guys got to sell papers or internet subscription?
Online.
Yeah, online subscription. Yeah. So, and I get that. I mean, there's a reason there's talk radio, and there's a reason there's message boards, and there's a reason that everybody in here has a job, and that's to discuss things that probably are never ever discussed in a staff room. But you guys decide to lose sleep over it, that's fine. But we don't. No, I've never been, I've been on a few different staffs. I've obviously got a lot of friends in the business and I don't know that scenario or that style has ever been once discussed.
Top quarter camp repository. Maybe not so much schematically, but are there similarities between the way Northwestern may play you guys? Wisconsin, you guys look like you guys have to take some shots this morning against Wisconsin, and we're going to get pound the ball against them.
Right.
Is there any similarities between the two philosophies?
It's hard to say because of who they played and how the games have gone. They played Cal in the first game, and Cal is a very different style offense than us. Then they played Syracuse, which is somewhat similar. but that game was kind of non-competitive by the third quarter, and so your sample size isn't very big. And then they played Western Michigan again. The game got non-competitive pretty quick, and Maine as well. So I think every defense starts with the premise of stopping the run, and how then you go about doing that is going to be, some guys believe, well, let's get an extra guy in there and play man coverage. Let's get an extra guy in there and play cover 3, with a couple, alley players. Let's play quarters and get our safeties involved in the run fits. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can say, let's stop the run. How they decide to do it and how they have, at least on video, is a little bit different than Wisconsin, but I think the commitment to stopping the run is not going to change.
Ideally, would you like to see defenses start to play you guys to let's stop the pass first?
Oh, I think anybody would. Yeah, it's a lot easier to run the ball that way.
Are you guys sort of, I guess, progressing towards that as an offense?
I don't know that we ever will. Not with who we have at quarterback and running back and the offensive line and our philosophy. We're not going to throw it 50 times a game. And when we throw it, it's because you have inhibited our ability to run it. It's out of necessity, not out of just fancy, I guess. And, hey, let's call a pass play here. No, we're going to run the football on first and second down, and then when you take that away, then we have to have some counters and some answers to that.
Coach Herman, thank you very much. That's all we got.
Thanks, guys.